discussion? Being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries. There's another motion too?
No, that's it.
Okay, I thought you had 2.
For us, for my office to
Oh, okay.
stop the certification every year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, the hearing is closed. Next item is Treasurer Claire D. Wilson regarding anticipation note signing.
The vote should be worded.
Okay. Claire, do you want to give us an overview?
Yes, I will. All right, good evening, Chairman Sad, members of the board, Mr. Manager. I've come before you tonight to ask for a short-term borrowing vote. We have a cash flow scenario playing out. As you know, the tax bills in Oxford were supposed to be due on April 1st, but there was a delay with the state and the assessor in setting the tax rate. So the tax rate was set. You had Christopher Pupker at a recent meeting doing a classification hearing, a tax factor hearing or whatever for the rate. And we were able to get the rate set the next day. Christine Abrahamson, the collector, was able to get the bills out for April 8th, due May 8th. Well, that leaves us with quite a span when we were expecting the revenue in on April 1st for a cash flow. So we have contacted the state, and we have, they have recommended that we do a revenue anticipation note in the amount of $1,800,000 to get us through June 30th. We have 5 accounts payable warrants and 3 payroll warrants that we have to meet prior to the due date of May 8th. May 5th is our last payroll warrant that we have to cover. And many of the tax services do not send the payments, the bulk of the payments, until that very last day. So tonight I'm asking for a vote for a revenue anticipation note. We went out to bid for the short-term note on April 9th. The town did receive 3 bids, Eastern Bank, Unibank, and East Hampton Savings Bank. And Eastern Bank was a successful bidder at 50 basis points for 70 days. So that will translate into an amount of interest that would be due of $1,726.03 on the $1.8 million short-term loan. Now, are there any questions?
Board members, any questions? Yes.
So you said this is the state that didn't have their
It
ducks
was,
in a row?
I think it was a combination. I am the treasurer, I'm the last one in the dominoes. The effect happens to the treasurer who has to cover the bills. I do not work directly with the Board of Local Assessment. Christopher Pupka does. I believe that Donna Folio, the finance director, and Christopher Pupka just met with members of the state today to enter into a taxpayer assistance program that the state will monitor that the state and the town are doing things according to the calendar, so the rate will be set in a timely fashion in the
So
future.
since it's not the town's fault,
No,
we shouldn't have to pay that,
I don't believe it
1,700.
was. I think it was a combination of things that just collided.
Yeah, but then we still have to pay the
We,
interest.
as a result of whatever did or did not occur, yes, the town has to borrow some money, and so therefore, we are paying $1,700 to borrow money.
Now, when do we have to borrow this money by May 5th?
We are
or-
going to take the funds on April 21st, and we will pay them on June 30th.
Well, June, when we have the tax date is May 8th.
May 8th, right,
So
but
why
we
we have
have
to
to get the funds in, and then we have to go, we are anticipating that we will receive our local aid. The amount that the state has suggested that we borrow is equal to 2 months of local aid. Should anything happen on the state and we didn't get their revenue, if they didn't get it to us in a timely fashion. So we need to cover our, most importantly, the payroll warrants and vendor warrants, because it would be action against the town if payrolls were not met, so.
I just think it's sad that we have to pay because of somebody else's
Oh,
mistake.
yes, yes. And so, should you approve tonight the borrowing, I have a vote that I would like recorded, and also there will be the usual documents to be signed, and tonight there are 5 documents that need signatures, and Lori Kelly is here to witness the signatures.
Mr. Manager, you had it.
No, I do believe it's a third party. I don't think it was necessarily personnel at the state or personnel at the town. There's a
I'm
third,
not laying blame, yes.
yeah,
I'm
there's a
just-
third
because there was
party
a
involved in the
combination.
reevaluation numbers that the state needed to get, and I think that's what's been the backlog, not just for this year, but for the prior year, and that's why we're in this situation.
Because this was our reevaluation year.
Right.
Every 3 years,
They do a revow.
communities randomly across the state are chosen to do a reval every 3 years. And this was our reval year, so it's understandable that something like this could happen.
Well, the third party should foot the bill, foot the interest. It's their mistake.
I don't disagree.
We've had this problem with the state trying to set the tax factor. I can remember last year, we were behind the 8 ball also. So you can't blame our people, I don't think. You
Oh,
can
I'm
blame
not.
the state.
That's what I
But
was doing.
you're
the
not gonna
third
get the
party,
money
yeah.
out of the state. I mean, it's
Well, we
just,
shouldn't pay the third party.
I mean, it's,
They're the ones who keep on, well, take $1,700 out of their chunk of the
good
change.
luck with that.
And one of the things that happened today that it's called TAP, the Taxpayer Assistance Program. And when the state came to meet with the finance department to enter this program, they used the term heightened awareness. When we join this program, Oxford will be on the radar, so they will see the documentation being fed into the electronic gateway program so that they can see that we have met our deadlines. So that was one of the features, and the term was heightened awareness. So whatever party might not have been able to perform their job with staff cuts at the state level, this is going to have Oxford on the radar, so they'll be watching for Oxford to be able to get their rate set on time.
Chairman.
Yes.
Ryan, can you try to get to the bottom of exactly what has happened here? Because I know that we've had some issues with the state before, and we've had trouble getting our assessments out in time in previous years to get them verified by the state. So can we take a look at it, find exactly what's going on as to why they're delayed? Because it's a little concerning that we have to borrow money 11th hour to pay our bills. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I understand that things do happen, but
Yeah.
we shouldn't be borrowing money and paying interest just for cash flow. That's absolutely ridiculous. So could you
I'll follow up on it and
follow up on
get more
possibly
information.
get back to the board? I'd appreciate it.
I do have one question. I don't know, Claire, if you're the one that can answer this, or the manager. But now, we're like 1 month behind in the filing in order to get certified. Is that what you're saying? That we're a month?
No,
month behind?
the town of Oxford, for tax bills, we had entered into a preliminary semi-annual tax bill system, which meant that we would send out a preliminary bill estimated on July 1st, due October 1st. Then, to receive an actual bill, the rate should be set in the fall, and the bill should go out December 31st or January 1st, due April 1st. So the bill should have been out, actually, if it all went to plan and the way we have structured our taxes
In January?
in January,
Okay.
due April 1st.
And the reason why I'm asking that is, I was getting confused because you're saying, you mentioned April and then May.
Well, that's what's happened now, because we did not succeed to get the bill out by sometime in January. It automatically made the date go to May 1st. But with the state and, then we had to time out, I believe the assessor has to put out for public view the new assessments, and then there's the hearing that would go along with the Board of Selectmen, so that's another date. So everything it takes time. There's a calendar of events, and so what occurred was, as fast as we could get the tax rate set, we were printing the bills and getting them out, which it happened to be April 8th, then due 30 days after that, May 8th, which is a week after the time frame when we were going to hit the critical mass of having
Okay.
funds not available to meet the
And
payroll.
the reason why I asked that question is, it seems like if it was only a month, $1.8 million is
Correct.
a lot of money
Correct.
for a delay of 1 month. So
But we've
what
had
this
no
is
cash
really is a
flow coming
delay.
in.
Yes, but it's a delay of more than 1 month.
Correct.
It's delay from January to now, to date.
Correct.
I also would like to know, is our system that we use compatible with the state? I thought we had issues once before where the system that we have in place, the app that we have in place, the state had issues with it because it was not standard and compatible with other communities?
And I am not the actual person to be answering that question about the software that we do use. Yes, that has been something, whether that's just hearsay, I don't know. They should be able to read our reports and understand our reports. So Christopher Pupka and Donna Folio are definitely well-versed in the software and deal directly with the state. So that is something that the town manager may.
Mr. Manager, could you?
Yeah, I can look into that.
Look into
I don't
that.
recall from the meeting whether there was a compatibility
Because
issue or
I-
not.
But yes,
thought
that
there
has
was-
been something that was, stated before, but what is true or not, I am not that one.
But I think it's important enough where, if these situations are gonna start costing taxpayers
Yes.
additional money unnecessarily, if it means changing software to bring the system up to snuff, we should be looking at that in all possible avenues.
I
Even a
agree.
reserve if possible. So something like this doesn't happen, so we can tap our own reserve rather than to go to short-term borrowing.
Correct. And since 2008, as the finance directors let you know, the reserves have been drawn down, so we do have to establish those again.
Yep.
And the last time I believe that there was ever a cash flow borrowing was, I looked through the records and it was in 1987. And I believe it may have been, it was before I came here, but I think it was when they were converting to a computer system back in the day. But I don't know the reason, but that's how long ago.
Okay, Mr. Manager?
Claire, is any of the cash flow problem that we're experiencing a result of not receiving grant revenues from the school system?
And that's another item. There were some, we receive grant money, and they're called ACH deposits directly into our bank account from grants. And I believe that the Donna Folio, who is now working at the school department in the business manager position, had applied for some reimbursement of grant money, and we did receive $400,000 last week. But I would have no knowledge of those grants coming in or to be anticipated. That is not enough to cover,
Right.
the bills, but it's a significant amount of money had,
Right.
knowing.
But Donna had informed me in a conversation that, and you may not be privy to this conversation, that she had discovered some communications from the state relative to some of these education grants, and that certain work that should have been completed in FY14
and-
hadn't
and-
been completed, and therefore they were shutting off some of the FY15 revenues.
And then, so when, I do believe, and it's my understanding that when she went there, she did submit for some reimbursements, and like I said, we did receive $400,000 within a week,
Thank you.
okay?
Any further questions? Okay, there being none, I'm going to ask that we vote to approve the short-term cash flow borrowing by the town treasurer of a revenue anticipation note in the amount of $1,800,000 duly authorized by Chapter 44, Section 4 of the Mass General Laws. Funds to be received on April 21st, 2015, and payable at maturity on June 30th of 2015. Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Claire.
I will have you, I'll pass them along, I'll start with you, Chairman Sad. There are 5 documents for you to sign, and
Okay.
Laurie will witness that, and then I'll collect them over at the end.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Excuse me.
that, next item on the agenda is DPW projects presentation by DPW Director Sean Duval. The snow is gone.
The snow is gone, yes.
Not getting as much money as
So's
we'd
our money.
like, but the snow is gone.
And
huh?
so is our money, as the
Yes.
manager
Yes.
said.
Looking forward to brighter days.
Yes.
And thankfully, tonight, I have nothing but good news to share with the board and with the town. I'm going to present tonight our projects that we hope to accomplish this summer.
Good.
And you probably noticed the front page of the PowerPoint presentation that I've included includes a photo. And the photo, I think will be up soon on the screen, is of a walk, don't walk sign that's currently in existence, believe it or not,
Wow.
in a school zone no less. That is on Old Worcester Road in front of the Clara Barton School. And I think the folks wanting to cross there will be waiting a long time for a walk signal there. It's actually a bird's nest that's been built inside. That intersection has the blinking light and has quite a lot of potholes in its immediate environs, and it is priority number one for us this summer to reconfigure that intersection, and we'll talk more about that, but I thought I'd include that photo.
Is that a case of vandalism there? Is that what that is?
Probably vandalism that was never repaired, and then the birds decided that would make a nice house.
Who's supposed to repair them things?
DPW. So that has probably been like that for the better part of 20 years, I'm gonna guess, given the age of that
20 years.
signal. Yes,
I never knew there was a signal there.
yeah. So my presentation will come in 3 parts. We're gonna talk about roads projects, recreation projects, and sewer projects. This first slide here shows the available funding by category. So we have just over 1 million available for road projects. That is all Chapter 90 money. And what recently came to the town, the governor released 30 million statewide for what is being called the Winter Recovery Assistance Program, the RAP program. Oxford's share is 76,000 and change. That is to be used for immediate road repair needs, pothole patching, guardrail repair, straightening of signs that may have been bent over the winter season. But the rest of it there is all Chapter 90 money. We have plus or minus 274,000 in FY15 funds. The governor, on his first day of office, released 100 million statewide as a supplemental to FY15 for Chapter 90, and Oxford's share is 255,000. And then our Chapter 90 FY16 apportionment, of which we just received a letter informing us of the amount, is 510,065. So put together, that adds to just over $1 million. For recreation projects, we have about 500,000 available, and that is a combination of Smolenski-Millet Trust Fund money and town money that's been appropriated at town meeting over the years. And for sewer projects, we are contemplating a sewer extension on Leicester Street from Route 20 to just shy of Ennis Road, to the basically terminating at the building formerly known as the North End Pub. Sources of that money are leftover money that we had from our borrowing we went for upgrades and rehabilitation to the Therapon Village Pumping Station, and through town meeting appropriation of $220,000 that will be recovered through betterments to the properties that are bettered after the sewer is constructed. So the first 3 roads projects, I'm going to get into in a little more detail in the subsequent slides. The last 3 I'll talk about now. We are programming $80,000 into additional design work required for Charlton Street. You'll recall that's for the reconstruction of Charlton Street from Main Street to Dudley Road. That involves a drainage reconstruction, complete drainage reconstruction, utility relocations, and a new road surface, reconstructed road surface, reconstructed sidewalks, and the extension of a new sidewalk on the south side of Charlton Street from where it ends now, which is behind the building on the corner here, down to Pine Street. And so that project is about a $3.5 million project that is currently on the state's TIP list, Transportation Improvement Program. And we need more money to accommodate the state's wishes for design. And so thankfully, Chapter 90 is an allowed use of funds for design work, so we're going to tap into that for that. The next project is the overlay of various streets in the Harwood Street area. That's where we want to program the Winter Recovery Assistance Program money. There are some side streets in that neighborhood that are in desperate need of attention, and we can provide an 1.5-inch overlay, reshape those roadways, shimming some of them in some cases, and provide a new rideability surface there that people haven't seen in quite some time. And but will be a lasting benefit given the amount of traffic that uses those side streets. It's only an 1.5-inch overlay. It's not a real structural improvement, but given the low volume there, it should last a good long time, and it's a good expenditure of that money that's coming our way. And I have to tell you that money has to be spent by June 30th. So we have to get a bid together, get it out, open bids, and get a contractor going, and get the work done, the money spent by June 30th, which is going to be a tall task for us, given that every other city and town is competing for the same contractors to spend their portion of this winter recovery money as well.
And so you're choosing the streets around the project that's already in existence based on economy of scale?
Yes, in that area, and I'm trying to think a couple of years ahead here. We'll talk about this in subsequent slides about our Harwood Street Bridge project that we're going to be doing, and that's kind of phase 2 of work that we've done already on that corridor. You'll remember last year we did a hot in place recycling of Old Webster Road and put an overlay on it. So I'd call that phase 1. Phase 2 will be the bridge work that needs to be done. And then phase 3 will be repaving Harwood Street all the way up to Route 12. And so if we pave the side streets now that come out to Harwood Street, then that whole corridor will be done. And then finally, I have programmed in a front-end loader replacement using Chapter 90 funds to do that. It's not an exciting thing to do. It's not something that we should get in the habit of doing, but we have fallen into such a hole with capital replacement for DPW vehicles that I'm running out of options, and it pains me to do it, to divert funds from fixing roadways into capital replacement. But I have a loader that is 18 years old. It's got over 10,000 hours on it. It is costing me a lot of money to maintain. We have a good price from Schmidt Equipment, who is the state contract, who holds the state contract for this area for heavy equipment, and they are going to give the town a good price on a trade-in. They're going to give the town $30,000 on a trade-in, and I have to keep that vehicle long-term. There's probably at least $20,000 in repair work that needs to go into it. So it makes a good deal right now to trade that in for the value that Schmidt Equipment is willing to give us under the state contract and get a replacement loader. These are frontline vehicles that we need to function, and they have mainline plow routes. And in a winter that we've had, you'll recall, it wasn't that long ago, these vehicles were working every single day, moving snow every day. And then when the snow was falling, they were plowing during those storms. So vital piece of equipment that I need to replace. But that really only scratches the surface of the hole that we're in for capital replacement for vehicles for DPW. It's been a number of years that we really haven't had the amount of replacement that we need to be sustainable.
If I may, Sean, and we only have the one front-end loader, right?
We have two loaders.
Oh, we do have two.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
the older of the two.
Okay,
Yep, and they're each used extensively.
Yeah. all right.
Yes, George.
Sean, what exactly does that loader need for repairs?
Oh, it needs tires. Its main hydraulic pump is weak. We just spent $6,000 repairing it, and the repair technicians have told us that they can't warranty the repair work. They don't know how much longer the pump is going to last. We haven't had any meaningful work done other than routine service to the engine and transmission and differentials. So they all have 10,000 plus hours on them. But repair work, rehab work of those components are quite pricey. So it's hard being put in a position where I have to roll the dice on whether these things are going to be able to perform in an emergency. And that's really what they are. They shouldn't be looked at any differently than, say, a police cruiser or a fire truck. When duty calls, these vehicles have to roll. I have no choice. I have to respond in an emergency, and I need reliable equipment to be able to do that.
Sean, as far as the loader goes, how much downtime have you had with that loader? Has it been in the shop a lot when you've needed it, or has it been fairly reliable to this point?
It's been fairly reliable to this point. The hydraulic pump issue, it was down for a while. And in fact, it was hard to actually trace what the issue was with the loader, and it was down for several weeks at that time. And so I think that is a sort of a harbinger, I think, of things to come with that machine going forward.
Jared?
I was just, would it make more sense to lease a second loader for the winter and keep one on for the majority of the year? So we're using two for snow removal and not two throughout the whole year. I mean, there's not a whole lot of work for two loaders throughout, without plowing and doing snow removal.
Those two loaders we have are working right through the summer as well. They work on our construction projects. There is not a time where two loaders are not needed. And in fact, during the winter time, we actually lease a third loader. And we got a great deal on the lease, and that's how we're able to do it. It's a very old machine, doesn't work that well, but we get a good price on leasing it. If we were to lease the equivalent loader that we're trying to replace, it would be about $1,800 a week. And I certainly don't have that in my operating budget to take on that kind of expense.
Any other questions?
In regards to the loader?
Okay, so this is the first road project I want to talk about. This is what I talked about in the beginning with that bird's nest. This is Depot Road and Old Worcester Road. This is the existing condition. If, in the middle of the screen, it's hard to see, but that's the driveway to the Clara Barton School. To the left on a skew comes Depot Road, and Old Worcester Road on the bottom comes up. And then they go through that one-way section there, and to the right is the highway interchange for Depot Road going past the state facility there. And to the top of the screen to the right is Old Worcester Road that continues up to Auburn. And what we've heard from the community is that one-way section is particularly dangerous. You've noticed the orange barrels we've had there, the keep-outs, the one-ways, the wrong-way signs. And no matter how much signage we have, we still have people that go right down the wrong way on that one-way section.
Wow.
And unfortunately, that's where the kids walk to go to school. And so we've had some near misses of head-on collisions and involving pedestrians on the sidewalk there. And the other issue is where Depot Road to the left comes in, it's on a very skewed angle, and that makes the crosswalk quite long in that location. And it makes it hard for drivers to negotiate that turn. To the right and to the bottom, you'll notice that mess of crosswalks there. It's sort of a take your life in your own hands, leapfrog kind of arrangement for folks walking in that area, and it's just not safe. And with the blinking light that's been there and the dilapidated walk, don't walk signs, it's time for us to invest some money and to clean that intersection up, provide some safety.
That intersection wasn't there all the time, though. When I went to school at Clare Barton, there used to be a two-way road there. I believe the town put the one-way road and the other thing. I bring my daughter to preschool there now, and I never had a problem. I just go to things, stop, and turn then. I never had a problem. I mean, it's just hard to negotiate the turn.
The turn is difficult. The orange barrels that we have there directing travelers coming from the highway down are not appropriate. And we have, crosswalks without handicap ramps, and the pavement is deteriorated. So we're at to the point now where I don't feel comfortable just fixing the pavement or just putting in handicap ramps, because we're putting back a situation that's not ideal.
I said the road was that way before, like you want to have it, and then the town changed it years ago, and now you want to change it back to the way it was. It just seems like it's not too smart.
Well, through the research that I've looked at, I don't know that it was the town that did that. I think that was Mass Highway at the time.
Okay.
Did that work. And that was all done when Route 395 wasn't a throughway. So if you're traveling south on 395, you'd get to exit 5, you couldn't go any further. You'd have to get off at this exit and come through. And that's why that traffic signal was there. And ultimately 395 was connected down to Cudworth Road, and at that time this intersection probably should have been revisited, but it wasn't for some reason. But now it's time to fix it. This is the proposed, and you'll notice that the one-way section is gone. That gets replaced by a nice safe sidewalk in that location, protected by lawn and probably trees in the near future. You'll notice that Depot Road on the left-hand side, instead of that skewed angle, comes in more of a T fashion, and that actually reduces the crosswalk length in half, which makes that crossing a whole lot safer. You'll notice on the right-hand side on Depot Road by Stewart Street, we eliminated 2 crosswalks and made that a much more orderly crossing there, to negotiate that turn. And overall, I think it's a safer design. By eliminating that one-way section, it forces drivers coming up from Route 12 on Old Worcester Road to slow down to negotiate that right-hand turn now if they want to get to the highway. Right now, they can just take that one-way section and accelerate through there, where folks are likely to be walking. This forces them to slow down and negotiate that turn. And likewise, if you're coming from the highway on Depot Road, instead of looking at that one-way section coming at you, as it can be somewhat tempting, I think, to take that'll be grass. They'll be looking at grass and a sidewalk, so they'll be more inclined to make that right-hand jog and then make a negotiated turn left or right onto Old Worcester. We had a neighborhood meeting last night with the neighborhood. We invited folks that lived in that location to meet and provide some feedback, and we received largely positive feedback. They liked the design, they liked our emphasis on safety, and so we're looking forward to getting that project done.
How much would that project cost to do? Because the roads are very disappearing. I think we should use the money to fix the roads more, because there's so many roads that are Main Street, parts of that, parts of the road I live on, parts of other roads I drive on, they're bad.
This project is about $380,000.
This is a Chapter 90 road,
It's
so.
a Chapter 90 project. And I understand what you're saying. It'd be great to stretch this money out to get as many center lane miles as we can. The issue I'm facing here is the pavement is so deteriorated.
Right, yeah,
I've
it
got
is.
crews there every day filling potholes, and I can't in good conscience just go and repave something that doesn't work. It's
So aren't you
unsafe.
gonna wait till the Aquarium gets their water thing in there before you repave it anyway?
Aquarion is teaming up with us.
Yes.
We have a commitment
They
from
can't do it yet
Aquarion.
anyway until they get their pipes in.
Aquarion is going to replace the water line in Old
Right.
Worcester Road, and we're coordinating with them now. They have about a week's worth of work to replace their
Mhm.
pipe, so they'll do that work.
You know when they're gonna get started on that work?
That'll get started in June, probably late June. About a week's worth of work for their pipe work, and then we'll follow up with the roadway work. We hope our heavy construction will happen during the summer when school's not in session. We may leak a little bit into the fall, but that'll just be for final cleanup, maybe some sign work and some striping. But most of the work will be done during the summer.
John?
Yes.
Through the chair, you spoke with the neighbors, people within the neighborhood. What were their concerns with the project?
Well, they're happy that we're doing something.
Right.
For sure. I think they were tired of the blinking light. I had heard from a lot of folks with school children trying to get to the Clara Barton School, looking at the condition of those walk, don't walk signs, trying to get their kids to school safely. It started off with a conversation of, what would it take to get the traffic control signal going again? And that frankly wasn't gonna be worth the cost given the geometry of the intersection. And so that kind of morphed into a bigger discussion about the intersection and improving safety. So I think, the folks are really concerned about safety and look favorably on this design to improve the safety.
Chair,
Yes.
as you're going up Old Worcester Road to go onto Depot Road, that seems like it's gonna be a hard right turn to get on. I know you said to help people slow down. That seems like it's gonna be an awful hard. People will be behind you. You can get accidents from that way too. You have to slow down that much to turn.
That radius that we've put in there accommodates a tractor-trailer truck. So when I say hard turn, it's a right-hand turn. It's certainly harder than the one-way eased corner now, but I don't think it's going to introduce any safety concerns from a rear-ending perspective, which I think is what you're talking
Well,
about.
how slow would you have to go? It looks like it's gonna be a hard corner to,
It's going to be a corner that people have to think about to make that turn, which is the whole point. That's the whole point, is to slow folks down, because just to the west of that is the Clara Barton Road
Yes.
driveway.
Sean, what is that little like gray area that sticks out beyond the grassy area on that?
That gray area represents the curb line as it is now.
Oh, so that'll be gone.
That'll be gone, that'll be pavement.
All right, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Our next project is the Harwood Street Bridge rehabilitation. This bridge goes over the French River, and it's pretty vital to that corridor, given the amount of traffic that uses Harwood Street, Old Webster Road to access Webster and Dudley. And the bridge is original to 1955. After the floods, it was built. The town owns the bridge, and it hasn't had an appreciable amount of repair work done to it. Just minor repairs here and there. It's on the cusp of being rated lower in the state's rating system. Right now, it's about a 6 on a scale of 0 to 9. If it gets much worse than that, then it's going to cost more money to get it back to where it needs to be. So now's the time to provide some funds here to intervene and fix this bridge and get it back into a serviceable condition. Basically, this is a photo here of one of the beams underneath, and you can see there's a lot of surface rust. That paint there is original to 1955. It hasn't been painted since. And probably one of the bigger ticket items for this bridge is to repaint all of the steel underneath, to breathe some new life into that.
So you have to sandblast it, or how you do the rest of it?
It'll have to be sandblasted off and
There's
repainted.
water underneath it, correct?
There is water underneath, so the design plans will call for it to be completely
Yeah.
encapsulated, so none of that lead paint gets into the waterway.
Chair.
John,
Yes.
this road, this is a real high-traffic road. This is on our way to IPG, correct?
Yes.
This is
Correct.
IPG, Wilson Learning. There's a lot of traffic. What concerns do we have as far as, how long is the bridge gonna be closed at all? Is it gonna be 1 lane, 2 lanes? What time of year is it gonna take place? And how are we gonna send notifications to those businesses along that, as well as the residents on that road as to, when that's gonna take place?
So the construction will take the better part of the summer, and it also involves some concrete work up above, and that's why I went to the next slide. You can see the cracking that's happening there. The approaches to the bridge are settling, so we need to strip off the surface and put in new concrete approach slabs. So there is gonna be some impact to traffic, and what we're gonna do is work on one side at a time. And what you'll see there is a temporary traffic control signal. And you've probably seen those before. They're trailer mounted, and basically it's a red light, green light on either side of the bridge, and one approach goes at a time, back and forth, back and forth. And then, so we'll get one side of the bridge done, and then we'll switch it over to do the other side. But we will notify the businesses, and we will notify the folks that live along that stretch for sure, because there will be
On
some
the same
impact.
lines, Sean, as far as the traffic control being programmed, in the morning, obviously, most of the traffic is gonna be coming from the east, and in the afternoon, so will the traffic, will it take that into consideration? How is that gonna be controlled?
These systems, these temporary systems have gotten more sophisticated in recent years, and they are equipped with cameras that look out into the approach to see what the queue length is for cars. So if there's a long queue length, it'll give more green time, say in the morning, to folks trying to access Route 12, and maybe in the opposite in the afternoon for folks trying to get home.
Excellent.
Okay, Jared, and then,
Sean, is there anything that's structurally going to be changed that would increase the weight limit of that bridge, or no? Is it mostly?
It's mostly maintenance work. It's not structural work. It's mostly repainting the steel and putting in these concrete approach slabs. It won't change the carrying capacity at all.
In order to do that, is that just way too much money at this point?
That would be a lot of money to do that. That would be the bridge replacement,
Yeah.
for better or for worse.
Dennis?
And Sean, kinda on that same line, so there's no widening of this bridge area in this area, right?
That's correct.
It'll just kinda stay as narrow as it is,
It'll stay the same width.
okay.
And the final project I want to talk about for roads is a Locust Street, Clover Street project. Right now, this is, we haven't done any more than just scoping this project out. But what the issues are here is, similar to the safety concerns we had by Clara Barton School, this is in the area of the Chafee School now. And what we have here, and these pictures show, are sidewalks with no curb. And whenever I see that, it gives me pause to consider what could happen. Is certainly a pedestrian could be on the sidewalk and a car could just wheel up. There'd be nothing to stop the car per se from just wheeling right up onto the sidewalk and hitting a pedestrian. And given the fact that this is in front of a school, it gives me even more pause to consider the seriousness of the situation here. That's one issue. The pavement is badly deteriorated as well, and there isn't a drainage system on Clover Street or Locust Street. And I'm sure the neighbors could attest to the puddles that form there every time it rains. And so we're looking at providing safety improvements, better sidewalks, better delineation of sidewalks, better asphalt surface, and a drainage system, basically from start to finish. all of Clover Street and all of Locust Street. This will be a phased project. It's too big to do in one year. It doesn't qualify under the TIP program for state or federal funds. So we've got to fund this in-house, and we'll just chip away at it with Chapter 90 dollars. It starts with a study, and then we'll move to design, and then we'll move to phased construction. So we're going to start now with a study and Phase 1 design. There is an acute drainage problem further down Locust Street that we need to address, and so this will be an ongoing project over a number of years.
Yes.
You said you're gonna use Chapter 90 money for this project?
Yes.
How does this qualify for use of Chapter 90 money, this particular road? Because I always thought the Chapter 90 money was for major thoroughways through the town. It would
Yeah.
lead from one.
That's probably one of the biggest misunderstandings with Chapter 90. Chapter 90 dollars can be used for any public roadway.
It can use, okay.
Yeah.
And as far as the sidewalks go, Sean, how are they gonna be constructed in the curbing as well? Is this gonna be granite with concrete, or are we talking about asphalt berm with asphalt sidewalks? What is the construction gonna be?
It's going to be vertical curb. Whether that's granite or asphalt remains to be decided. And whether the sidewalk will be concrete or asphalt also is up for some discussion and debate. We got to start with the study first. We got to look at what the potential cost differences are. That'll be a scope item in the study. And then we'll arrive at what we think will work the best. And we'll also involve the neighbors, and I'll be presenting on this as well to the board. But those will all be considerations that we'll have to undertake.
Just the speed of that road, and the amount it gets plowed, and that curb is gonna take a beating.
Yeah.
And you know what happens, we accept these subdivisions in town, and we have asphalt curbing, and we know 2 years later, we're up there replacing it, and, it's.
Right.
So, if at all possible, and I know it's, a heck of a lot more expensive, but as far as maintenance goes, I think it'll, save us quite a bit in the long run if we can.
I agree. And if the budget can support it, I would love to see granite curbing through there, vertical granite curbing, definitely.
Sean, do you see anything being able to be done with that particular intersection at Locust and Clover? For us that drive down there, especially, bring the kids to school, that's like a no-stop area. People just kind of blow right through that in all directions. Is that something you'll look at to see if we could change that or alter that behavior a little bit? Because
There's
it's
a
such
stop sign on the end of Clover Street.
yeah, but it's such a wide open area, I've been coming down one way and they're not even stopping, so that's, I don't know. It's just
I agree
something
with
to
you.
look at.
It's far too wide, and that'll be a major scope item, is to look at that very intersection right there.
All right.
It's not optimal, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad to see that this is, at least getting looked at. I mean, these roads down here are horrible, and there's a lot of houses down there. Even like Wheelock Street coming down towards the end. I think it does it come out on
Yeah, it
Clover
does.
Street.
Yeah.
That end there, or like the next street over, it's terrible. And even like you go down towards, I don't know, there's so many different roads over there, but down more towards like, would that be considered Sherwood Forest? If you go down to the end of Locust Street, all those streets on the left, those are terrible as well. I mean, so I'd like to, if we could plan, to redo the majority of those roads down there. I know it's tough with the money that we have, but I would love to see those roads be redone too.
And that is the larger plan, but it starts with the major thoroughfares in those neighborhoods first, and that's why we're looking at the Locust Street, Clover Street corridor. From there, we would certainly look at Wheelock Street and Pine Street. Thankfully, Sunset Avenue is done. That's another thoroughfare in there. But it starts with those thoroughfares, and then we'll branch off from there in subsequent years.
Alan?
Yes, Chair. How much do these studies cost? You're saying to do study there, study there. How much do they usually cost?
Well, if you build some of the design items into the study, then we can get some pretty good savings there. design and a study and design of this magnitude is in the $30,000 to $40,000 range, all Chapter 90 funded.
But if you could just, we wanna do this to get it done, and save the $40,000 and we be able to use it for other things. You know, if we say, we need to get this done, they're putting a study up, let's just do it.
Yeah, that's what we want to
Like
do.
the granite curb. You know?
John?
Okay. So now moving on to recreation projects. We have 3 projects programmed. Splash pad project, $300,000, Rule Field concession stand bathroom for $152,000, and Rule Field fencing and netting for $50,000. Splash pad is being funded through Smolenski Millet in its entirety. There's no tax dollars involved there. Rule Field concession stand and bathroom project is a blend of town funds and Smolenski Millet funds. And the Rule Field fencing and netting project is town funds. So this is the proposed site of the splash pad. This is Carbuncle. This is looking down from the parking area down towards the beach area. And where those swing sets are now is where we propose to put the splash pad. An ad hoc committee has been appointed and has been working very diligently on looking at on all the cost benefit of sites, looking at the options for amenities, and has done quite a bit of work and has voted that this is the preferred site, and has also voted on the preferred amenities, which I'll show you in the next slide, is a rendering of the features that the committee would like to see. And it's not quite final. There's still some features that we're working on, including a water table that's not shown there for young kids. But basically, it's into 3 zones. On the left-hand side is the little toddler zone. That's where the water table would go. The middle is what we call the family zone, kind of a mixture of age groups. And then the right-hand side is the older kids with the tipping buckets and the bigger sprays. And the company that the committee has chosen is a good one and has facilities in operation in Worcester, and is the builder of choice of other cities and towns. And we've done our research and looked that up, and we're quite comfortable with the vendor of the equipment. And then the committee has done its work on the design and the placement of those features, and the consensus of the committee is that this is going to be a fun project, and people will really enjoy this when we're done.
Sean, let me ask you, have they built in cost for security cameras?
That is being worked on right now.
Because every time we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for the youth in this community, every project gets vandalized. We spent all that money on the skateboard park. You know what happened over there. The skateboard park in North Oxford, the basketball courts. It just goes on and on. Rule Field, bathhouse, the bathhouse at Carbuncle. I can go on, and you know it because you're involved in it all the time.
That's right.
And it just seems senseless to put $300,000 into an area that is primarily an area where there are no homes. There's nobody there in the evening. Schools are closed. It just makes sense to me that there would be some highly security issues that should be considered with this project. Otherwise, it's throwing money away as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. And through the work of the committee, we've been able to kind of hammer down the cost of the equipment from these vendors to a point now where the savings that we've been able to hammer out roughly equals the cost of a security system. So that's a benefit, and certainly something that we need to take into consideration for sure. Any questions on the splash pad?
Does the vendor, do they handle the construction of the project as well, or?
The vendors of the equipment do not. So to try to salvage some usage of this by late summer, we're proposing to buy the equipment now separately under state contract and to separately bid the construction work. And so we'll work it up as part of the construction, the contract documents that the equipment will be provided by the town. We're simply bidding the labor to prep the site and erect these structures, and with all of the fencing and underground piping and all of that stuff.
John, yes.
Sean, I know that you're more along the design and construction guide, you know, probably have all the information that is needed as far as the revenue, this facility. Is the revenue for this facility gonna be able to offset the costs that we're gonna have to operate it and maintain it and as far as vandalism goes, make any repairs to vandalism that happens? Because I'm looking at this, and it's great, I understand, it's being funded by the Smolensky, and that's fantastic, and this is gonna be a great thing for the children of town, but, we were so strapped for cash, I'm just looking at it and I'm saying, this isn't gonna become a burden on the town, that we're gonna be pumping all sorts of money into this thing as far as maintaining it, repairing vandalism. Do you see that as being, do you think it's gonna be self-sufficient?
I'm probably not the best one to answer this question, because once I build it, it gets turned over to the Oxford Community Center to run under the guidance of Stacy Barr. And I know that she has submitted a revenue and expense budget, and she feels fairly comfortable in what she's going to charge folks to use this facility will offset the cost to operate it.
Yeah, I just hate to see us take $300,000 from a fund and then have it become, in a period of 5-6 years, become dilapidated, because we know that we're strapped for cash, we know that they're strapped for cash, and if we don't have the funds to make repairs and keep it working and functioning properly and looking good, people aren't gonna use it, you're not gonna be able to charge, and before you know it, you know, it's gonna be just something that sits there and not used and broken down. So I think that's really important, that we know ahead of time that, you know, whatever the fee structure is, that it's gonna be sufficient enough to offset the cost of, and I'm sure you could give them some type of indication as what they should be allocating every year for maintenance on something like this, because there is gonna be some maintenance involved in upkeep, you know.
You're right, I agree with you.
Dennis?
Kind of going with that a little bit, Mike, is that the funds have already been voted and allocated for this project. I may be stepping out of bounds. I know Stacy has done a lot of work on the operation of it, but it's not saying that future funds from Millet's, whatever it is.
Smolensky Millet.
Yeah, that's it, thank you. Couldn't be, certain amount of that couldn't be then funneled towards this project for, you know, the operation of it. Because we do that presently with that fund, is that every year we fund certain amount of money towards the community center for certain programs and stuff like that, so I'm sure this could be funded in the future, you know, and I'm sure that's part of her game plan.
Well, I understand that, but I would hate to see this thing become a, you know, a money pit. And there's only a certain amount of money that you can take out of that fund, and certainly want to use it for other recreational endeavors, and I just hate to see this thing get run down and just, you know, wait, because once they give us a $300,000, they're not gonna want us to come back to them every year and say, hey, well, give us another 5, give us another 6, let's keep this thing running.
No, they won't, but it's like any facility we have, you know, you have to maintain it, so it's just something that it'd have to be built in, that it's gotta be maintained, so it doesn't become an albatross just sitting there not being used, that's my opinion.
I will say from what I have seen, and DPW directors that I've spoken to that operate splash pads, the cost to operate and the cost to maintain is not significant compared to, say, a swimming pool. You know, back in the 1970s, a lot of cities and towns ran out and built swimming pools everywhere and found out that they were a heck of a lot of money to maintain. and then they fell into disrepair, as you alluded to, and to the point where cities and towns couldn't afford to operate them anymore, and faced the fact of having to close them down. What's happened now is those pools that were once in operation in the 70s and have since been closed are now getting demolished, and these splash pads are being put up because they're a whole lot less expensive to maintain. So if we're looking for a water amenity, so to speak, for folks, this is the way to go from an operations and maintenance standpoint.
Jared?
Going kind of along the lines of Selectmen votes. I mean, we like with the community center. I mean, we're having problems funding that to rehab that building for the work that needs to be done there. And I mean, we're not making enough money to pay for, the bathrooms that need the most work. So you'd hate to see that happen here, and then in a few years now we're ripping that out. And how many of these are really around? Are there? I don't remember. I don't know of many around.
They're everywhere.
Really?
Yep, I've got little kids, one's 10, one's 7, and we're on the splash pad circuit. They are everywhere.
Really?
And the kids love them. They absolutely love them. And they are going up all over the place.
What's the typical fee to use one? Is it like a yearly?
The splash pads that my family has gone to have all been free.
Yeah.
We haven't paid a fee to go to any one of them.
There's quite a few in Worcester,
Yeah.
if you wanna,
Yeah.
just go down Shrewsbury Street, you see
Is
them
there?
there,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay. Next project, I know we're getting tight on time. This is the a Rural Field concession stand bathroom project. This project has come up time and time again, and I think we finally settled on a concept that the town can afford, and that is a precast concrete unit, similar to the photo shown here. This isn't the building, by the way, that we're contemplating, but it's something similar. The building that we are contemplating is probably about half the size of this building here, but similar in design. Basically a bulletproof design, precast concrete, floor, ceiling, and walls, and so very vandal resistant, but will also withstand the test of time as well. And we had gone out for proposals about a year ago, and the cost exceeded the budget. We had to rethink what we were doing. Took some time to do that, but now with the town acting as a general contractor versus what we had contemplated before, which was to hire a general contractor, we think we can save about $40,000. So that means it's a little more work on our end to separately hire a foundation company to come in, put in the foundation, separately hire a plumber, separately hire an electrician. But we think we can do it with the funds that we have. We open proposals, or I should say proposals are due on April 24th for the building. We are separately getting bids for the concrete work for the foundation, and also looking at the electrical and plumbing costs as well. So when we put all of those pieces together, we hope that it falls under what we have money for. And I know the Recreation Commission and others have been looking for this to be built for quite some time.
A lot of years.
A lot of years,
They
a lot of
have.
years. In fact, one of the appropriations that we're using goes back at least 15 years,
Oh.
so.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Sean, like you said, you've been working on this for quite a while. I'm not looking to throw a wrench in the works there, but have you, is there any, could you use Bay Path at all for any type of work that's to be done here to save a little bit of money, some further savings? I know that they have kids, they're looking for projects to do. I don't know what the wait list is, but I don't know, maybe the wiring of the building. I mean, it doesn't come pre-wired, right? It has to be wired in place.
It comes pre-wired,
Does it
so
really?
the electrician just makes the final connection. The
Okay.
plumber, it comes pre-plumbed, the plumber makes the final
So it's like
connection.
it's a modular.
It's a modular building.
100% modular, huh?
Yep, it comes to us on a trailer being fully built. We lower that with a crane onto the foundation that will have been separately built. We make those final connections, and we have a turnkey operation.
So basically you bring water, electricity to it, and obviously you'll be putting a septic system in for this, have
Right.
its own septic system?
That's correct.
Okay. Will it have,
Bless you.
it's pretty far off the road, so we're not bringing gas to it, are we?
No gas. It'll be all electric appliances.
All electric appliances, okay. It's a nice project, it's gonna be great, as far as revenue for the recreation committee too as well. I mean, you can do a heck of a lot of business and concessions out of that, and, proper bathrooms will be nice.
Mhm.
Is there two public bathrooms and one,
It'll be a men's room and a women's room, and each unit will have 2 stalls.
okay. Excellent, thank you very much.
Jared?
Is the DPW gonna be doing the site work and excavating, or?
Yeah, we'll do all of the site work, all of the grading and prep, we'll do all of the utility work, and we'll also, and that includes electrical as well. And then finally, I won't spend a lot of time on this. We have a separate appropriation of $50,000 for fencing upgrades and netting. The issue is, as you can see in these photos, the fences there have seen better days. We can replace quite a bit of the fence and add some new fence, and will improve the aesthetics and the playability of the field. The netting that we're contemplating is to go above that 10-foot fence in the left-hand side photo. That is the left field, outfield fence on field 1. That's where most of the softball is played. And just beyond the fence is field 3 softball field. And what's happening is some of the heavy hitters can hit the ball over that 10-foot fence there. And the ball's getting knocked into the other ball field, and it's a safety concern. So we're gonna replace that fence and add a 10-foot net above that. And if somebody can knock it over that, then I wanna meet that person.
Oh, they will.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Question about the concession stand. Are we gonna have a camera on that too? Cause people just suck and vandals will just destroy it. So is there gonna be some sort of security camera on that?
We hope to have a security camera on there. We're right at the margin on our cost. It's gonna be lit up like there's no tomorrow. We're gonna have wall packs on every side, LED lights shining on that building in every direction, which I think will help. But if there is any money left over, priority number 1 is to put in a camera.
How much does the cameras cost, like $4,000 or more?
The cameras themselves are not the issue, it's getting it wired in, that's the issue.
It should be wired in, even if you're not gonna have one right off, wired in just in case we get later on. put a
Yeah, we can
camera.
have an accommodation for it, for sure, yeah. And then finally, I'll end with our sewer project. This is the Leicester Street Sewer Extension Project I talked about for about $305,000. And this is the project plan. To the left of the screen is Route 20. To the right is the building formerly known as the North End Pub. We're proposing to put in gravity sewer for about half the length, and because of the contours, we have to break that and put in a pressure sewer from that break point down to the North End Pub. So half of the sewer customers will have a gravity connection to the sewer line, the other half will have a pressure connection. And we have contracts out to the low bidder right now for signature. When those come back, the town will execute the contract and we'll be underway this spring.
Now, this goes into the Auburn system.
Yeah, this ultimately drains down to the Therapon Village pumping station that we rehabilitated a few years back, and then that gets pumped up to the Auburn system up by J. Anthony's Bar and Grill.
Now, we're in the process, well, we aren't, the state is in the process of redoing Route 20 from J. Anthony's all the way to the Charlton line. How is this gonna affect any construction work?
This won't have any effect on that work, but what I have done is I have reached out to the state. I've also reached out to the state's consultant that's doing the design work to say, look, it's been a priority for a long time in Oxford to have sewers extended on Route 20. And if the state is gonna reconstruct that segment of roadway, then we ought to get in on the ground floor and get sewers extended as part of that project. We'll have to pay for it, but we could realize an economy if they have a contractor mobilized to do the roadway work, get them going on the sewer work. We pay that cost, but we're not paying for the mobilization and all the bonds and everything that goes along with a construction project. That'll be borne by Mass DOT. So we'll get the luxury of getting to use their contractor to get pipes in the ground. That is many years in the future, so we have some time to sort it out. I've heard from the business community on Route 20, they would love sewers, especially up by the Pioneer Park. So I think it's a good project, and happy to have the attention of Mass DOT and Mass DOT's consultant on that.
Good.
John?
Okay, we'll go here. Dennis first, then,
Sean, with this project, you're gonna be, of course, digging up roadway. Is there anything in the plan to do something with that section of the road when you're done? Because that's in such horrible shape, so.
Yeah,
Is that
it's-
part of this at all?
It's not part of this project, but it is part of our future plan. So the plan is to get the sewer constructed. I've had some discussion with Aquarion. They're interested in replacing their water main through that same section. And that will not happen as part of this project. They're looking, maybe late fall, maybe next spring to do that work. Once the water work is done, then we'll reconstruct that whole section and repave it all the way from Route 20 to Route 12.
So this is gonna get torn up twice?
It's gonna get torn up twice.
That seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Can't coordinate that together, huh? Wow.
It would be hard to do anyway,
Oh,
because of the width there. So, but it's not part of Aquarion's plans right now. They're focused on extending their work on Route 12 that they started last year. They're gonna do phase 2. And, they're gonna replace the pipe on Old Worcester Road as part of that project, and this isn't part of their plans right now. But it is on their radar screen. They're committed to doing it. It's just, they need to program the funds to get it done.
Mike?
Excuse me, I kinda zoned out when you were talking. How, what is this, the sewer line? It's gonna go all the way from Route 20 all the way down to,
To the North End Pub building.
from 20 to North End Pub?
Yeah.
So everyone along that stretch is gonna be a part of a betterment?
That's correct.
To fund this?
That's correct.
And any resident who needs a septic system replaced will have to tie into it? They won't have the option of,
The way the state law
Septic
works is if their septic system has failed, they're required to tie in. If they don't get their septic system inspected and things are working just fine, they don't have to tie in. The town has
Right.
never made anyone tie in,
Right.
even if there's a betterment involved.
yeah, where most of those are right up against the road, it'd probably be advantageous for those folks to tie in rather than, I know there's some people, if you're traveling east on that road, who are way off the road, and if they had to tie in, that'd be like a lot of money, but you're not going that far anyway, right?
No, we're not.
That's probably, well, it's a good thing for them, because that would be a little bit rough. There again, what's the timeline on this,
We'll have shovels in the ground within a month.
and to be completed?
And it's a 80-day construction duration.
And what's gonna be the effect on the traffic on that road?
It's gonna be closed down during the day, so that section will be closed, and we have Mass DOT authority to do that. It'll be open back up at night, so say 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, be reopened. But during the day, during the construction hours, it'll be closed. It'll be open to local traffic, but no through traffic.
When you say closed, is this gonna be done in phases? We're not gonna just shut down Route 20 to North End Pub day one?
Well, so we're gonna close Leicester Street basically on day one. It'll be closed at Route 12, it'll be closed at Route 20. There'll be assigned a detail officer that says, closed to through traffic, local traffic only.
What time will it close in the morning, Sean?
7 a.m.
But you'll have boards up way ahead of
Oh,
time?
way ahead of time. A lot of signage
Explain it
and
to
boards
people.
explaining the whole thing. We'll reach out to the neighborhood as well. We've had a couple of public meetings.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll certainly get the message out.
Yes.
So like, you're gonna close the road down, and next year or in the fall, when Aquarian wants to do it, then can you just wait on your project to do it all at once? It makes more sense, because you'd have to close the road down twice.
Well, I understand your point. There are folks along that stretch of roadway that are in dire need for sewer. And one of them, I will say, is the North End Pub building. There's a new owner there, who wants to open up a new restaurant and can't because his septic system has failed. And without a new septic system, he can't open. So they're dying for sewer, and there's other folks that live there as well that are limping along with their ancient cesspools and want to tie in as well.
Right.
All right.
Oh, one last thing. I'm sorry. Are you gonna be putting out stubs at each of the properties? How's that gonna work? Because once the sewer line's in, and people, through the years, they can need to tie in, are they gonna have a stub into their property? We're not gonna be digging a road every time someone wants to tie in.
Right. We won't dig up the road. We'll provide a stub for each property. On the north side, it'll be to the back edge of sidewalk. On the south side, it'll be to the property line.
Excellent, thank you.
Is there any other questions for Sean? Sean, before you leave, I have one. Could you tell me what the status is of the rail crossing on Dana Road? That is a mess.
It is a
It's
mess.
an accident waiting to happen.
You're right.
Have you had any dealings with P&W?
I have. I met with P&W, it was in the fall, late summer, I'll say. And they had representatives of the railroad authority there. And I raised it as the #1 issue we have with rail crossings in the town of Oxford. And I kind of laid it out to them to say, look, if you fix your rail crossing, we'll fix Dana Road, which is also in dire need of attention. And they seemed to be quite happy to hear that we were willing to team up with them. If we fix the roadway, they'd fix the crossing. And I took nothing but positive, energy from that, and I haven't heard anything since. So I will follow up with them,
Please do, because
and I'll provide a report.
this has been a tough winter, as we all know, and now people in that area are starting to say, well, we thought we heard this at a selectmen's meeting a long time ago.
Right.
Why hasn't anything been done? Look at it now. We went through this winter and it's a mess. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because people that travel that road have brought it to my attention.
Definitely.
So if you could get them on the wagon so that we can get that taken care of, certainly would be appreciated by a lot of people that use that road.
Will do.
And along those same lines, the Federal Hill Road, they did that one last year, or maybe the year before, was beautiful.
Mhm.
Now, when you cross it, now it's a big old, it's sunk, and it's just nasty now, so when you're in communication with them, say, hey, listen, come back and fix what you did last time, because it was great for about, a year, but now you gotta slow down to about 5 miles an hour as you cross the tracks, so.
Can you get back with the town manager about that?
Yeah, I'll provide a report to the town manager.
Is there anything else for Sean?
No, thank you, Sean.
Thanks.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you, Sean.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is, I believe, the manager's report.
Okay, before I get into that, I just wanted to take a moment and introduce our new civil engineer, Jared Duval. Jared, we were able to hire away from the private sector. He's a local resident, and he's been diving into some of the projects that Sean's been talking about tonight, so we're happy to have him on board. And I don't know if you want to say anything, but you're welcome to.
Well, I'd just like to thank Brian, thank Sean for the opportunity. And I look forward to working on all the projects that Sean had just presented for the benefit of the community and myself as a resident, so thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
it's good to have somebody from town.
Yeah.
It's great. Good. You know the community, so that's a big step forward.
And he's also not related to Sean.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. The last names are spelled differently, isn't
A
it?
little different, yeah, it's already been caused a little bit of confusion, but
Deval and Duval, right?
exactly, yeah.
Well, welcome aboard,
Thank you.
board members. questions, though.
Welcome aboard.
All good.
Okay, we've got the meeting minutes from November 5th, 2014 for your consideration.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second for just a comment,
Okay,
just, Jared wasn't here, so.
Right. That doesn't actually preclude him from voting on it, but.
Oh, really? You
No.
can vote on minutes that you weren't?
as long as he read it and approved it.
Oh, okay, excellent. Have you read and approved?
So you don't have to vote. Okay, there being no further discussion, call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Abstain.
Yes. 4 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, motion carries.
Got an update on the Main Street water main replacement project. We had forwarded the board information regarding Aquarians Phase 2 for replacing water mains on Main Street from Claire Barton Road to the North Fire Station adjacent to the Little League Field. The construction hours will be 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. There's no Saturday work scheduled at this time, and we'll keep you apprised of any updates. Over the weekend, I attended Access Oxford's annual Board of Directors meeting. We discussed their upcoming funding for FY 2016, and we'll be scheduling them to meet with you next month to make their pitch for their FY 16 budget.
Good.
At the last meeting, we touched on Memorial Hall and Clock Tower updates, and I just put together a synopsis of what's been done so far, so I'll just go over that fairly quickly. The clock mechanism was dismantled and made safe for construction. The bell was unfastened and lowered to the deck. The bell supports were reconstructed and the bell was rehung. The belfry floor was repaired and new scupper drains were added. There was interior woodwork of the belfry that was replaced with tongue and groove boards to make the weather walls tight. The 4 openings of the belfry were rebuilt with new lumber, and the sills were modified and flashed to better shed water. New decorative railings were added to replicate the originals. All the interior brickwork of the clock deck was cut and repointed. Interior joints where the clock faces are set into the masonry tower were caulked and sealed. The wooden ladder from the clock deck to the bell deck was replaced with an aluminum one. The clock mechanism was then put back together and put in service. The next phase of the work, which is the article that goes to town meeting, there's the balance of repointing the brickwork on the upper deck, and the attic deck, and also replacing the flooring there. And then the first floor entrance to the vestibule, the masonry there needs to be repointed and cleaned, and then conserving the Civil War plaques. And then there's some exterior work that needs to be done on the new roof canopy, and then we need to do some pointing on the masonry buttresses and rebuild the exterior masonry, on the portion of the clock tower wall. So, and we'll have that available for town meeting as well.
Board members have any questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. You've got some terms expiring. Miss Rebecca L. Gaddis of Little John Circle has served as a member of the Cultural Council for the past 6 years. Her term is set to expire May 19th, 2015. I've prepared a letter of thanks for her. It's in your folder. And then you have some additional appointments. So we're requesting that the board reappoint Miss Rose Wing of Huguenot Road and Miss Lynette McIntyre of Hamilton Street to the Cultural Council for a second 3-year term for each member.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to reappoint. Any discussion? There being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries.
Okay, a few announcements. Mass DOT announcement on Friday, April 17th, 2015. Mass DOT will host a meeting from 10 a.m. to noon in the Selectmen's Meeting Room regarding the reconstruction project for Route 20 from Oxford to Charlton, which we were just talking about. The Council on Aging will be hosting an open house this weekend, Saturday, April 18th, from 5 to 7 at the Senior Center for residents to come out and meet the new town manager. You're all invited.
I heard he's a hard guy. I heard that.
Again, on the bulk item drop-off, we've been notified by the Department of Public Works Director that they have set dates for small bulk item drop-off. The dates are as follows: Saturday, April 25th for residents residing from Oxford Center, That's north of Charlton Sutton Street Avenue to the north end of town. And then Saturday, May 2nd for residents residing from Oxford Center south of Charlton Street and Sutton Ave to the south end of town. The drop-off dates will be strictly enforced. If anyone is unable to make the respective day, please call the Department of Public Works ahead of time at 987-6006 to make other arrangements before April 23rd. The times on both Saturdays will be 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The transfer station is located at 200 Leicester Street, North Oxford, and you need to bring proof of residency. Just a reminder on taxes. Taxes are due May 8th, 2015. If they're not paid on May 8th, 2015, you'll be assessed a 14% penalty. So it's
Good Lord.
worthwhile to
That's
get
pretty steep.
your penalties paid,
Why
or
is it
excuse me, get the taxes paid May 18th.
14%? It's like
Make sure you pay it.
day one, you get 14%?
Yeah, that's not an uncommon provision in a charter or ordinance to have a steep penalty the day after taxes are
It's
due.
like loan sharking, isn't it? Good Lord.
Lastly, there's a volunteer brunch being hosted by the Council of Aging Saturday, May 30th at 10:30 a.m. You've been invited to attend, and I plan to attend. So that's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Selectmen's request. Dennis?
I have nothing this evening.
Okay. Mr. Bose?
I'm gonna stop it, Sam. Never gonna be late on my taxes, I guess. 14%. Good Lord. No real request, just some commentary. I had a opportunity to tour the Bay Path facility with the town manager. This past week, we were up there. We dined in the dining hall. And what it is, it's a restaurant that the students run. And they have some unbelievable food up there for very cheap money. I know I had a seafood dish that if you went to a restaurant, it's gonna be $20 all day. I think they're selling it for $7 or $8. So, you know, I urge anyone who want a cheap meal during the day, go up there. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's great to see the kids up there, you know, cooking those fantastic meals. It's very professionally run. The food is fantastic. You get quick service. And at the same time, we toured the facility up there. And as you know, the very large addition. And I tell you what, I urge any one of you guys to, any member of the board, to go up there and take a look around. The superintendent will give you a great tour. Matter of fact, the tour will last a lot longer than you probably want it to, because he's very, very proud of what he has up there. And just great to see the kids, you know, doing their thing up there. And it's, you know, it's really something to be proud of, what they've accomplished up there, and where that school has gone in the past 30 years. Because I went to school there. I graduated. I'm gonna tell you something. That school is a lot nicer, and I think just the quality of the student that's graduating there today is phenomenal. And it's you know, it's a real asset to the town of Oxford. I know that the manager has reached out to the superintendent to hopefully get some additional students in town to work on some of the facilities we have that they're in disrepair, which is a great thing. They get an opportunity to do some work, and we get an opportunity to save some additional money. So that's great that you reached out to them for that. Just want to say, if you have an opportunity, anyone, take a ride up there, take a look at it, go to the restaurant. Great place.
And get a haircut.
Yeah.
Not
Not
you.
about me.
No.
That's all.
That's all you have?
Graduated 30 years ago.
I'm an old man.
I'd just like to, I brought up in the fall about how Mrs. Granham, she's a kindergarten teacher in Chafee School. If you have any of your used ink from your printers, copiers, you can bring it to the school, and they can make money for the kids.
I just have one question for Sean. When do you plan on opening the town pit? I've had a few residents asking.
It's open.
All right, great.
That was easy.
That was easy. It's open 8 to 3 Monday through Friday, and 10 to 2 on Saturdays.
All right, thank you.
Is that it?
That's it. Thanks.
I have nothing this evening. Is there any further business to come before the board? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries. We are adjourned.
Tell you what, me up something.
Oh, this is where we.
Do it every day?
Weekdays, weekdays.
Yeah, it's weekdays, and it's for very, I think they stop serving like 12:30, so